What is going on, guys? MrToX here, and welcome back to another episode of Satisfactory as we continue through Tier 7. We're at a point in the game now where, I said it earlier, we'll probably go back over to the main base there and start automating some of the basic parts, which, to be honest, after episode 4, I did end up going back over there, and oh boy, did we make some changes. So, I also did finish the facade over here at the aluminum factory. Just got to get a little bit more crystal oscillators to finish my nice LED strip there, if you will. Finish the tower here, and I've actually brought in another bauxite node, a normal node from the Red Forest, and belted it in. So there's 2 belts now coming in.
Your contract legally compels you to harvest this artifact.
It does not compel me to do anything. So yeah, this place is done for now, as I had shared in episode 4. But let's head over to the main base and let me show you what we've got going on over there. Yep, so quite a lot of changes. If you watched, I believe it was episode 2, I kind of took a tour of the factory here when we come down and got all of our, pretty much most of the basic parts out of the constructors going on. And then we had our assemblers over here. Now with the assemblers, I had started producing, kind of had like a to-do list over here, the heavy reinforced plates, cubes, and rotors. Well, I have a love-hate with blueprints, I've got to admit. They're really great, but they're really a PITA, and we all know what that freaking means. But basically, placing them is a nightmare. They don't, like, snap to the grid when you're building things. So just as an example, I mean, you've got all these little areas that these nicely snap to, but when you're using a blueprint, they kind of just float all over the place, and they don't have any real rhyme or reason. So you really got to like line things up, and if you misplace something that has a lot in there, it's a pain to have to delete it. So I really hope Coffee Stain ends up having some kind of undo button for, let's say, a blueprint that you paste and you got it wrong, or that they actually start allowing us to grid these things to the existing grid on the world rather than it being free-forming. So what I did well, first, let me show you a little bit of the old factory. So as you can see, this is some footage back from episode 2. Basically, this footage here is kind of just quickly showing this area, and you can kind of see the big change here. I had 6 assemblers already that I had built in my own design, kind of just a simple stack. Well, this was working fine, but I really didn't like the way, if we come back here, I did not like the way all my belts were basically a big giant mess of just, it was horrible. It just kind of running it everywhere just to get the parts to where they needed to go. And then, I was kind of using like a buffering system before they entered the assemblers. So you have these storage containers sitting back here. I didn't like it for how I designed the base. And then I got to thinking, if I've got storage containers coming out already on the constructors and I'm bringing the basic parts over, why am I double storaging them only to go triple storage them back to the storage room here later, where they're going to have their final resting place? Now, keep in mind, I don't know about you guys, but it's always a good idea to have a place to gather all of your resources in one spot, because most of us may know that this game requires you to build multiple factories throughout the world. It's next to near impossible to grab all the resources you need and build in one place the entire time. I mean, logistically, I think a lot of players used to do that in the earlier updates, and then the parts in the area would get so it would get so overwhelmed that your computer would start to struggle, and then that's where everybody came up with, well, you got to contain your builds and factories and walls to kind of limit the lag or what's actually happening, the animations, etc. So while they've improved on that tremendously in recent updates, the biggest thing is, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to build this particular main base up to be able to come back here, grab what I need, and then take one of my little airport machines and fly back out to another world, or another part of the world where, I've got a main factory, whether it be rubber, energy, oil, aluminum, whatever the hell it may be. So this was kind of my old design here, and I started building over here, and I just got really frustrated and was like, man, I could make something a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. So what I had done is earlier in my gameplay, I kind of really got into blueprints, and so I went over to, I think it was Satisfactory calculator, and on there's a lot of great blueprints that you can grab from other players who've just spent the time to really design stuff inside the blueprints here. And I'll show you one in particular. I do not remember who actually created this. It doesn't say the gentleman's name. Anyways, let's load this guy up. Luckily I had all the resources. So you can see here that, you know, this is a really nice final product 6x6 array of assemblers with, you know, your input outputs here at the bottom going up and down, and then you got your outputs here. One thing I didn't understand with this particular blueprint is why the hell is he using smart splitters? I cannot for the life of me understand why. So if somebody knows, let me know in the comments. But otherwise, one of the other big things that was really bothering me was, if you kind of take a close look, it's crazy to me how you can see here it's highlighting two parts of this conveyor. Well, that second part is the rubber that kind of goes through. So if I delete that and bring it back in and then put it back and then we highlight it again, you can see now that the rubber is in the proper place. So when you drop these blueprints and they're overlapping, the rubber kind of does this weird thing with the animation where you can see it's no longer aligned. And my OCD just, I can't do it. I didn't like it. The smart splitters are weird, so I took inspiration from this gentleman's build here, and he went a little crazy with the facading of it, a little too much in my opinion, but it does look really good all said and done. So I kind of took inspiration from this and basically took the design, which almost, again, you can see almost everybody's doing similar design, whether you're putting, you know, using the new clip through to put your input output belts right above and kind of just really compact this area. You know, that's great. One of my biggest problems is with that design, you've got your input outputs at the top right there, and you've got to split the belts up. So when I had materials coming in, you got to build funky crap like this to split your loads going to both the floors. Well, I don't like the way this looks. It's cluttered. So I really wanted that input output line to be on the bottom, and this blueprint had given me inspiration. So I rebuilt it, not using smart splitters, and basically made my own design of this whole thing here. Now it does resemble a little bit of it, but I did like the building facade, so I just kind of simplified it a little bit more and then achieve the same exact goal I was looking for. So as you can see, you've got everything running up to the second floors in the back, and then right here they just port straight down to the bottom, which leads for a much cleaner input system. Basically you can bring in your two lines and then you just put two splitters splitting into either side. So you got one material that's up on the top and the second material that's on the bottom, and that's it. You know, it does the rest of the work for you. And then it does come out, and there is two separate lines. Now, depending on what you're building and how many parts per minute, how fast these guys are going, it may not be necessary to do this. So one way or another, you end up basically merging these back in. So that's exactly what I did here. I merged it back in, and then now I've got the output waiting to go into my storage facility, which I think we're going to start to work on here really soon, just so I can get some basic materials all going to one place so I could pick up from there. So one of the other things while working on this, I really started looking at all the recipes since Wolf had been busy getting all the hard drives in the world. Obviously alternative recipes are king. So in this particular case, for example, we've got modular frames is one of them, but for the reinforced plates, you've got this alternative bolt iron plate recipe, which is 15 iron plates per minute, which the original recipe is like, I think it's one plate per or something here. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and do that. You got 5 per minute with 60 screws and 30 iron plates per minute, whereas with the iron plate bolted recipe, you need 250 screws, which is a lot, and then you need almost double the iron plates as well. But you get 15 per minute. Now, a lot of you would probably say, wow, that's a lot of screws. However, there is another alternative recipe for screws that uses steel. We so happen to have gotten that. So what I did was I came back over to my screw production and I actually got rid of the iron and I belted in some steel. And now, I kid you not, I didn't refix the sign here, but we're generating, I think it's in the upwards of 1,300 or 3,100 screws per minute. So if we look at this recipe, you've got, takes 5 steel beams per minute, and your output is 260. So I've got 12 constructors here. So you've got 260 times 12, 3,120 screws per minute. So even with that output, the output lines at a Mach 5 belt are still not going to output that properly. I think that's there you go, 260 times 3, right? So 7, 8. Oh, actually, yeah. So 3 and 3. So I've got 3 here inputting to 1 input, and then 3 on the top inputting to 1 input. So basically all 6 constructors for each segment here has their own input, and then I've got 2 output lines, 2 full 780 output lines that are now coming through here. So basically now I can really utilize these screw recipes to their absolute fullest. So this is great because over here, this other alternate recipe for modulated cubes is also fucking amazing. Well, you've got 2 modular frames, 5 per minute, and the original recipe for that is it requires rods, and it takes 60 seconds, whereas this one takes 24 seconds and you're getting 5. It takes a crap load of screws, but again, totally worth it, especially when you're able to produce that amount of screws, and you've just got to put the heavy reinforced plates in. So we're producing enough heavy reinforced plates just to take right off the initial input line, which I think is 90 reinforced plates per minute out of those 6 assemblers, and this only requires I think it was about 37 or something like that. It was an odd number since there's like 37.5. So I really started playing with the recipes and dug deep, and I basically sent a bunch of stuff into the awesome sink here and stored all the extras that was sitting in storage. So now what I'm going to finish up on today is I want to get this board finished up. So we're gonna continue finishing the modular frames, which we're almost done here, and then we're gonna move on with the rotors, and then I haven't really decided the other parts, but we'll continue down the line here. But the goal is to basically get all of the next level parts that only require assemblers fully automated and sent into the storage room there. So let's get busy working on that and see where we end up. And here we are. So I got this other section all done, wired in, and we are now making rotors. So this whole area is done, did a little lighting, kind of messed with how the roof is going to go, and then I put these power lines here so that we could use the hover pack in the factory. So I'll end up running these power lines all the way around, and then I'll do these lights. It's about every 4 tile blocks here. So liking the way things are turning out here. We ended up I started on this side as well, so we'll kind of just continue on with the assemblers and keep building that list that I've got here. However, we did a lot as well. We did not just finish that little area. We wander over this way, and we'll show you guys. We ended up expanding quartz over at the what we call the metals depot, where we're bringing in coal and iron, but now we're also bringing in quartz there as well. So I reworked the train track a little bit coming in and out here, and then I put a pass-through section for the trains that are coming from the main rail so they can come back into the station here and or leave from the station to go out on the main rail. So that's what these 2 additional tracks are. Got it as best as I could. Pretty happy with the results for kind of freehanding it. Took a little while to mess with ramps and things of that nature to get it to my liking here, but everything here is looking good. So we're going to head over to the metals depot now. So we're back at the metals depot here, or finally just pulled up, and as you can see, if you noticed at all, along the whole route I fixed all of our beams for the train as well. for the support pylons here. And then the third car is now loading quartz in, and everything comes up into there, loads into the third car, and then goes into the main base over there. But we went ahead and built this gantry bridge, utility bridge that goes across and grabs those two pier nodes of quartz there, brings it back over here, and then turns them into quartz crystals from the raw quartz, and loads it up. Finished out the rail line a little bit over here. That's the service train that we use to build the line. So I think I'll end up turning the track and going across the lake over this way, and we'll head through the valley that way to get into the desert biome back that way. So we've been pretty busy, as you can see. Got a nice little factory facade going on here. Just need to finish out covering the copper here. Might expand the copper a little bit into there and get some more smelting just for a higher output of copper ingots. I don't see a use for it right now, but it won't hurt to have it ready. So yeah, let's go ahead and head back on the main base. Alright, back at the main starter base. So yeah, I think we got quite a bit done today. Pretty happy with our progress. Like I said, there's a lot of little projects that still need to happen before we start getting into the larger parts for the factory in general to continue on with the milestones. For now, I think I'm going to leave off here, and for sure in the next episode we are going to get this storage system all labeled so we know what's going where, and then we'll start bringing in all of our items that are being produced to kind of see where we are and see what we need to continue producing. This will give us a good insight for how many items we are currently producing and give us a good starter area. So yeah, next time we'll be working on the storage and potentially some hypertubing to get to and from this easier, as well as probably we need to get like a airport tube launcher going, and just for when we get ready to go to some larger areas on the map that are further away that require faster travel, if you will. So yeah, lots to work on, lots to do still. That is our progress for now. As always, appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to leave any comments and drop a like if you like what you see here. Subscribe, hit that damn subscribe button, you know, trying to grow an audience. And as always, don't forget I do stream on Twitch live while I'm doing all this progress in between, so if you just want to chat and hang out and listen to some smooth jazz and gaming musics, yeah, head on over to my Twitch. That's twitch.tv/MrToX M8. Catch you guys in the next one.